Yes, mira.
Candyman. 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 The point of no return. My favorite scene. Helen is in Dr. Burke's, the psychiatrist's office. Helen has been accused of first-degree murder. Now, she was found in her kitchen floor with a bloody kitchen knife in her hand and her best friend in the other room, lying on the floor, stabbed to death in a pool of blood. Yes, yes. Now, Helen is the only one who knows that Candyman did it, or so she thinks. I mean, just a couple of months ago, she didn't even believe in fairy tales as Candyman. And now, she must prove her innocence, and she must stop Candyman from killing anybody more. I can just say it like that. So she's totally powerless. She's like, and here sits the psychiatrist, Dr. Burke, behind his big desk, in his office, his desk, his papers with forms of other patients and stuff like that. It's in the middle of the day, and this white light comes in from the window. It's a typical day at the office. For Dr. Burke, that is. Yes, he sits here with his pen, and he's very understanding, like a psychiatrist should. Thinks he knows the whole situation. So, the scene before the scene begins. Dr. Burke puts on a television screen. Actually, it's 4 television screens here. So we should have 4 Ross here. But it's a television screen of video surveillance footage. The night Helen was arrested and put into this hospital. And we see a completely empty room and Helen strapped down to a bed. But she's screaming like crazy. He's here! He's here! Candyman is here! But as we all can see, there's no Candyman there. So, Dr. Burke starts with his pen like this, and he says to Helen, with this kind of voice, Helen, in my version, yeah, Helen, at the night you were admitted to this hospital, did the killer, Candyman, appear to you? Looking at Helen, and she sits here, and so the scene begins.
Understand.
Help me! He's here! He's under the bed! You have to come and help me! Help me! He's here! He's under the bed! He's under the bed! Help me! You have to help me! He's under the bed!
Back to Helen in reality time. She says, but that's not possible. How? Bernadette, she says, as she looks at Dr. Burke, and he's just sitting there, observing her reactions. And Helen, it starts to sink in that maybe she did kill her best friend, Bernadette. And she starts to almost cry, and she goes down. But then she takes her head up, with renewed force, and she says, I'm not capable of that. She looks at Dr. Burke. She says, no matter what's going wrong, I know one thing, that no part of me. And she looks down, and she looks at Dr. Burke. Is capable of that. Dr. Burke, he's just sitting there. It's like, oh well, whatever. Then she says, right, I can prove it. Dr. Burke. Oh. We all know how. She doesn't really want to. I mean, summon the killer. But she says, I can call him. Like, you want that? Burke? But he doesn't say anything, so she sees a mirror. And she says, Candyman.
Yes.
Candyman. Candyman. And she looks at Dr. Burke. And she looks back. Candyman. Looking at Burke. Looking at her. She's looking at Burke. Starts to look around and did I do 5 times? She sees in the mirror. And then she gets retarded. And she looks down like this. Oh fuck, I'm screwed. And Dr. Burke is like, yeah, well, anyways, And then he says, Helen, and it's totally quiet. No music. In the middle of the day, no dark, and nobody sees anything, but here's the sound of He gets this twitches and you don't know what's going on, and Helen's like, whoa, what's going on? and you don't see anything, but you hear this screeching sound and you see Dr. Burke, and then you see behind the desk, behind the back of Dr. Burke, Candyman rises up, struggles with the hook, driving his big iron hook through Dr. Burke's spine. And Dr. Burke's twitching, and the blood is coming. Poor Helen, she's like, oh my God, and he's twitching, and Candyman comes up, and he does the final kill, and it's very exhausting. It's a big job, even for Candyman. And he looks up at Helen, and he says, smiling, because this is just what he wanted all along. And he says,
You are mine now, Helen. Tonight, our congregation shall witness its first miracle.
and he takes out the hook, takes a step back, and does this. And Helen sits there, paralyzed with fear, and Candyman leans forward, and he's like 2 meters tall. He leans forward with his big hook. Now this is not a hook, that you hold in your hand. It's a hook that's been screwed into the bone of poor Candyman. And because the hand is chopped up and it's an open sore and the screws are down and he has this big fur coat who's drenched in blood. He looks at Helen, driving the big hook like this. Closer, closer, closer to Helen. But then the hook goes down. He takes up the restraints of Helen. Helen's free, and Candyman goes back and flies out the window like this. And Helen sits here, realizing that the window breaking has set the alarm off. And she's free, but she hears from outside people screaming, Dr. Burke! Dr. Burke! Dr. Burke!
To us.
Yes, to that. Okay. And so she realizes she has to flee. She takes up, she goes, and she sees the window. Now this is the point of no return. She goes out, looking, should I do this? I have no choice. So she goes out, and she's like, you free stories up, you know? So she goes like this, and you can see people running down there to the hospital. She's like, oh shit, I have to hide myself. And she sees a window. She smashes on it like this. And inside there's poor unknowing nurse, like, who's that? And she goes, opens the window. Helen goes inside and shoves the poor nurse. She falls, bang, smacks her head and twitches. And Helen takes her hospital clothes. Yeah, and now she's dressed as a nurse, okay? She has to act like a nurse too. So she goes out, fleeing the hospital. Nobody notices. It's actually Helen. Yes. So that's the scene. Yes. Then I take that.